Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Two Blues podcast and another live match reaction straight from Tyneside, straight from the Toon, as Chelsea have just lost 4-1 to Newcastle. Make sure to like the video, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to drop us a subscribe if you're not already. But yes, today we are hosted, as always, by myself. We will be doing a more in-depth full match reaction with both myself and my co-host, Mr. C Money Picks, tonight, hopefully with a guest from the Newcastle fan base as well. But for now, I am just here to give you my quick match reaction. Not ideal, obviously, in that second half, particularly. I think it was one attempt. Very, very poor. Not best pleased with a lot of the performances, a lot of the lack of commitment from a lot of that Chelsea side, particularly in that second half. We just kind of gave up, and a lot of the players were showing their naivety, their immaturity. I think Nicholas Jackson was someone that frustrated me today. His runs were not as intelligent as they have been in recent weeks. I don't really know what's going on with Jackson. Sometimes he seems to be very, very sharp, very on it in terms of knowing where to run, where to be, where the space is. Sometimes he just likes to drift out wide a lot. And a lot of people have said that he could potentially be a wide man. I think he has functioned in that position off the left or right for Villarreal before. I don't know whether he had much success, but I personally don't see him as that option for us. We have so many players that can operate already in wide positions. We don't need Nicholas Jackson to be operating in a wide position. We need Nicholas Jackson to be an out-and-out number 9. And at the moment, well, today anyway, he just wasn't showing. He wasn't at the level that we need him to be. Yes, in recent weeks, he has got the goals in games against Tottenham, games against Manchester City. Yes, he has pulled out finishes, clinical finishes in the clinical moments, but he has still missed a bag of chances in those games. And as much as, I can back him and say that, give him as many opportunities as we can. And David Ornstein this week has come out and said that Chelsea aren't looking to sign a striker in January, that we are happy with Broja, with Jackson as our options. I personally agree. I think that should be, that is the best method of developing these players. I think if we go out and spend big money on a striker, if we did that in the summer, if we go out and do that in Jan, that's only going to stump the development of players like Jackson, of players like Broja. But at the same time, I don't understand. Jackson is frustrating me. Enzo Fernandez today, absolutely fantastic. I thought in that first half, I thought he was our best player, one of the best players on the pitch, best player in a Chelsea shirt. And he frustrated me in the second half because he kind of went into his shell. But that was partly, I think, due to the lack of options and the lack of movement. I mean, Cole Palmer is a player that I am very, 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 I speak very, very highly of Cole Palmer a lot. I think he's an excellent player, has been for the majority of the last few, ever since he's got nailed down a starting position. Cole Palmer's been a core player in this Chelsea team. Wasn't today. I thought struggled at times to influence the game. Passing wasn't as good as it has been in recent weeks. And to be honest, I thought he struggled to make the impact or have the same impact that he has, which was disappointing. Obviously, he wanted to build off momentum, build off the fact that he's just got his first senior call-up in England. He should be absolutely buzzing, performed pretty well, albeit in a cameo appearance for England. But, wanted Cole Palmer to go out and needed Cole Palmer to go out and play well today, and definitely didn't have the impact that he usually has. But yeah, I mean, Raheem Sterling, probably the best player on the pitch for Chelsea today. Out, over 90 minutes, I think, in that first half. Enzo Fernandez, definitely up there. But yeah, Raheem Sterling, the free kick, absolutely sublime. Obviously, he leads by example and has been leading by example. He proves people wrong, or has proved me wrong when I've kind of been, I say prove me wrong. I'm very skeptical of Raheem Sterling because of what I expect from him. And obviously we expect him as an accomplished, as one of the best wingers of the last 10, 15 years in the Prem to do bits. And he did, I didn't know he had free kicks in his locker like he did today, but A fantastic free kick. His decision making again, a couple of passes that could have gone a little bit differently, but on the whole, Raheem Sterling pretty strong today. Don't really think you can criticise him. We'll jump into the comments because I think Matt was in the comments while we were watching or while the game was on. You cursed Thiago Silva with that short the other day, bro. I know, bro. I thought the exact same thing. As soon as that went in, as soon as that happened, big up Matt, by the way. If you play FPL or if you enjoy football at all, just go and subscribe to Matt's channel. He's the guy in terms of FPL shouts. Make sure to go and subscribe to his channel. Big up his thing. But yeah, man, cursed it with that shot I made the other day. Yeah, watching the game currently. Appreciate you tuning in. Bro, I know. We're going to be doing hopefully a full detailed match reaction later, but for consistency purposes, these live match reactions I'm going to be doing on my own for now. We are going to be dropping hopefully a more in-depth match reaction with myself, Charms, and a guest from the rival fan base every evening as well after the game, or as soon as we can do it according to Charms' schedule. Bro, we folded today 100%. Reece James, I mean, let's just talk about Reece James for a second because very disappointed. The fact that the stupid first yellow card, he absolutely ridiculous. I mean, for kicking the ball away, Raheem Sterling, I was more frustrated at for his, but Reece James as well, captain of Chelsea, shouldn't be getting bookings for kicking the ball away. You should be more mature than that. You know, way too naive from Reece James. And then the second one, needless. I think Jota got booked and potentially sent off, earlier in the season for a very, very similar one. He got sent off. It was his second yellow against Bissouma when he just clipped him as running past him. And I think it was a red card. I'll stand by my, what I said back then. It was a red card. It was a second yellow. That is a yellow card challenge. He didn't mean to touch him. There was barely any contact, but unfortunately the rules of the game, when someone is traveling at pace and when you cut off their run, when you stop them from going forward in a dangerous position, that is a booking. And Reece James, unfortunately, I mean, it's hard to say, but, situations like that, you're 3-1 down, just hold your run. You don't need to dive in, don't need to go and get yourself in trouble there. Be more mature, make the right decision. Didn't do that. Dove in. And now we are without Cucurella and Reece James, potentially Malo Gusto as well, who was injured today, apparently. So we are devoid of fullback options on the right. At least for Brighton, looks like probably at the moment anywhere. Disassi might fill in at the right. I mean, Badiashile and Thiago Silva, I had high hopes for that partnership at the start of the game. Obviously, Thiago Silva hasn't really put a foot wrong for Chelsea, not just this season, but in the last 18 months, 2 years since he joined. Thiago Silva has rarely put a foot wrong. But yeah, did exactly that today. Absolutely cursed him with the short I made earlier this week. But yeah, absolute nightmare for Thiago Silva. Absolute nightmare for Chelsea in general, I think. As Shooter said, Chelsea folded. It was a poor performance in that second half. I think we had one attempt, and I was not best pleased when I saw that stat. We need to beef up these stats in terms of peppering that goal, throwing the kitchen sink. When we are in situations like this, 2-1, 3-1 down, we shouldn't be putting players like Colwill on. Yes, Cole was a great player. We need to give him opportunities and minutes. Not right now, though. We're 2-3-1 down away from home. We've got 20, 25 minutes left. That is when you throw on. And I was happy when he started throwing on Mudryk. I thought that was a good positive opportunity. Albeit Caicedo was on there as well. Mudryk, Broja. I thought they were good positive changes. But then to wait in Madueke, I think there were a couple of changes that could have been made slightly earlier to maybe try and change the game dynamic, maybe push up a little bit higher. We really didn't go at them at speed. We really didn't try and beat them in the transition. We really didn't try and beat the press. We really struggled with the Newcastle press today. Robert Sanchez made quite a few errors today. Absolutely woeful when the ball was coming in. I mean, I've been critical of Robert Sanchez since he came in. I've said recently he's a fence sitter. He's made some great shot-stopping performances, made some great saves at crucial moments in games, such as from Son against Tottenham, Haaland against Man City. But today, Robert Sanchez was he had no command of his box. He had no idea what he was doing when the ball comes in. Anybody touched him and he just fell to the ground, bro, like a pile of matchsticks. Robert Sanchez, he needs to pattern up, bro. Robert Sanchez was was not doing himself any favors today. I mean, yes, he made a couple of good saves from Fabian Schär from a shot that shouldn't have been allowed to happen. But Robert Sanchez today did not instill any faith in him from me. I really do not rate this keeper. And I think a change needs to be made. I do not know who is going to be available for under 50 mil in terms of a first choice long-term goalkeeper in January. But come on, man. Robert Sanchez is not good enough to be Chelsea keeper. He was under pressure or not under pressure today, regardless of whether it was a Newcastle player or a Chelsea player, whoever touched him, he just crumbled, bro. Moved like he was playing for Arsenal, bro, or Tottenham. Bro, he just crumbled every single time he was put under pressure. The ball came into the box. Robert Sanchez looked like the Robert Sanchez of a couple months ago, before he kind of got a run of form together, before he started making some good saves, before he started getting some confidence under his belt. But Robert Sanchez today did not impress me, did not do enough distribution-wise as well. Long distribution, poor. I mean, there were a couple of balls where I thought, Jackson, why are you running? You can see the flight of the ball isn't exactly as you were predicted. And I had this debate with my dad and my brother, who I was watching the game with. You can see the flight of the ball is not what you're predicting. You can see it's coming short. Why are you still running onto it? There were a couple where, yes, that was the right idea, because you're hoping that the ball, the bounce is going to carry it over the defender. You're hoping that he's going to misjudge it. But at the end of the day, Robert Sanchez is, it's not that hard when you're looking at the ball, and you don't necessarily have to be ball watching. You could be watching the defender run into space, whatever, but you should be watching the flight of the ball. But Robert Sanchez's distribution was not A1 today. You can't blame the strikers entirely for their runs. Robert Sanchez, his long balls weren't fantastic, and his short balls, I mean, quite a few times, I'm always on the edge of my seat. As soon as Robert Sanchez gets the ball in the 18-yard box, if there's a Newcastle player or an opposition player anywhere near the 18-yard box, I'm stressing, bro. I'm already clenching my seats, because I do not trust the guy. The guy he loves hospital balls way too much. Today, again, just proved that he's not good enough, not consistent enough to be a number one keeper for Chelsea. If we want to be back, if we want to go back, realistically, we want to be back in the Champions League next year. We want to be back in Europe. Is Robert Sanchez good enough keeper? We've had this debate with players like Onana. Bro, it's a different kettle of fish when you go to Europe. When you put these players in the spotlight at the top level, you expose them. And Robert Sanchez is getting exposed by these high presses. It's not so much the shots at the moment that are my issue. Kepa's issue was his shot stopping sometimes, or from range. Robert Sanchez doesn't really seem to have that issue. It's the same issue, though, in terms of Kepa coming and claiming crosses, being able to command your box, show confidence, demonstrate to your defense that you do have control over your box, and they will have faith in you. But they don't. That Chelsea defense cannot lie safe, cannot sit there and be calm, be cool, be collected, because they have not got that wall behind them. They have not got that Alisson, that Edison, that Ter Stegen, that Courtois, that world-class goalkeeper that they know they can trust, whether the ball's coming in high, whether the ball's being shot at, whether the ball's coming into feet. The keeper should be able to deal with it. In this modern game, you have to be an all-round footballer to be a goalkeeper. And Robert Sanchez I'm sorry, doesn't have enough elements of his game, doesn't have enough ticks in the box to be a Chelsea goalkeeper or to be a number one goalkeeper. And today he proved that, I think, in multiple elements. But I don't want to dig too many players out too much, because I think today was a team disappointment. We struggle. I mean, I said earlier in my short that today was a good day to play Newcastle. Obviously, with their injury concerns, with the amount of players, the injury list that they have, our squad coming back from it, the international break had less injuries than we had prior to the international break. We were looking stronger on paper. The morale should be high off the back of strong performances against Tottenham, Arsenal, Man City. And it just wasn't there today. For whatever reason, we just didn't get, I mean, again, off the back of every single game we start poor. I don't know how many times we're going to concede first, or we're going to wait until conceding first to fully go at a team and fully open up and fully actually play, because it is stressful. It is very, very stressful that we do not start and we do not, go out from the off. We have so much talent, and we were promised this Pochettino regime. We would see so many elements of the fitness be bonuses, be positives, be advantages. But unfortunately, we are just not seeing that. We were told at the start of the season that we were going to see latter stages of the game. We're going to dominate teams because our players are going to be so much fitter than the opposition. I don't even see that step up from players like Conor Gallagher anymore. I don't even see that drop off from opposition. I see the drop off from Chelsea players. I see us absolutely knackered out there. I see us struggling to get the edge on opposition. I see us struggle to, Newcastle were taking the piss at points that they played Lewis Miley. They brought on Alex Murphy. Who else did they bring on? They brought on a couple of other subs. Who else did they bring on? Amadou Diallo and Ndiweni. Players I've never heard of, bro. They're giving first team debuts to teenagers in a Premier League game against Chelsea. They were taking an absolute piss. And yes, you can say it's because they got a massive injury list, but they wouldn't have done that if they were 2-1, 3-1 down. They wouldn't have done that if they were chasing the game. They were so comfy in that position that they were able to bring on 17, 18, 19-year-old players for their professional debuts against big Chelsea FC. We were getting mocked today. We were getting bantered today. And Cruz is in the chat. Football's a humbler. Newcastle humbled us today because we were getting big. We were riding high off a couple of big wins. But, well, I say big wins, big results, prior to the international break against big teams. But Newcastle proved today that they were, still a very, very good team. Good, without the depth of the big six, of the Liverpool, the Man City, the Arsenal, the Man United. They are still able to churn out and to play, top games of football with the bare bones of a squad and with academy graduates and promoting the youth. Absolutely fantastic to see a lot of youngsters, probably a lot of them British, coming through the ranks and getting opportunities in this Newcastle side. But very, very humbling from this Chelsea side that has had £1 billion poured into it to be absolutely humbled like that by Newcastle. Very, very poor today from a lot of players. We'll jump back in the comments. OMG, our boy, what's up? How you feeling, bro? You feeling justified? Are you feeling a little bit like you were, deserved a win earlier? I thought it was, fairly even game, in terms of, no, I'm joking, bro. City deserved to win. Bit disappointing you didn't get the win as well, but Salah assist, captain, he did me for FPL. Appreciate you jumping in, bro. Everyone make sure to like, subscribe to the channel as well if you're not already. While we are here, follow @2Blues Podcast on the Instagram, on the TikTok. Seb, appreciate you jumping in, bro. Appreciate you jumping in. That game was stupid and the keeper was arse today. Yeah, bro. Just said my piece on Robert Sanchez. Did not cover himself in glory today. Really, really not best pleased with the fact that Djordje Petrovic has not had an opportunity. I mean, apparently he's a very good shot-stopping keeper from what I've seen in training, from training videos, from what I've heard from people close to training. Apparently he is very, very good, keeps players on their toes even more than Robert Sanchez in training. So I don't know why Djordje Petrovic has not had an opportunity in cup competitions. We would have been able to see whether he would be able to rival Robert Sanchez for that number one. I'm pretty sure when he joined, I'll have to go and check this. I don't want to get fact-checked, but I mean, someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure when he joined, Poch said he was going to compete for the number one position. He was going to compete for the number one goalkeeper jersey. I don't understand why we haven't seen Djordje Petrovic. And maybe Robert Sanchez needs competition. Maybe he needs to be dropped for a couple of games to humble himself and to get him in this, I don't know, Ramsdale Raya mindset of, you need to put out top performances week in, week out to be consistently holding down that number one jersey. And yeah, I said it before, say it again, don't think Sanchez is performing at the level, definitely not today, that he needs to. But shooter, I do not think DDG is the answer, bro. I mean, I don't think DDG would be the answer for anybody. I don't think DDG would be the answer for Man United. I think bringing him back would be a step backwards. I think bringing DDG to Chelsea would have been a poor option. He's just a glorified Kepa at the end of the day, more experienced, great shot stopping goalkeeper, but no good with his feet, no good distribution wise, not a step forward in terms of what we want and what we're looking to build. But yeah, man, all our fans thought we won the league before we drew against City. Yeah, I said, man, riding a high off those 2 big results or 3 or 4 big results prior to the international break. But we had no reason to not be confident today with a big injury list for Newcastle. It is obviously disappointing, this scoreline, this result. It is, our team was lazy, as Seb says here, lazy in the second half. We had no impetus. There was no kitchen sink. There was no... I mean, maybe I'm critical. Call me out if I'm critical. I think Cucurella was arse today. I think his position was awful. I think he was lazy in terms of getting out to the ball. I think he was slow to get out to the ball. He got done too easily. One-on-one defending, he wasn't that bad, but he rarely got in a position where he was one-on-one defending. There was more often than not, there was an extra man over where Cucurella was, and he was tucked in way too narrow. And my dad kept saying, maybe that's how he's been told to play. Maybe Pochettino was told him to tuck narrow. But surely, as a footballer, as a human being, if you're playing common sense would tell you to go out to your wide man. If they are continually feeding Miggy Almiron the ball, continually feeding him the ball, he's continually creating problems, continually putting balls in the box with no pressure on him. Surely, as a left back, you go out to that area and deal with it. Surely, because you know you're going to get slated, regardless of whether it's from Pochettino, from fans, from whoever. You know, if Almiron does something, scores, assists from that position, they are going to call you out. They are going to say that is your issue, your error for not being in that position. So surely, as a left back, as the player that is closest to that area of the pitch in terms of responsibility, surely that is your responsibility. Surely that is Cucurella's responsibility to go out and deal with that. And I feel like he did not do that a lot. And I mean, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. There are a few people watching. Make sure to get involved in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as well if you're not already. But guys, Cucurella, I think, is not performing. I don't know why he's slipped back into this pattern. Ever since he's gone back to left back, he put in those performances at right back. Ever since he's gone back to left back, he's dropped his performances. It's week in, week out. I'm trying to back the guy. I'm trying to keep faith. I said all season last season, get rid of the guy. I'm struggling to come round to it. You know, I've said, you know, given the benefit of the doubt, while he's putting in the performances, I'm not going to sit here and slag him off. But today, I thought he was poor. I thought just logically, you know, it's not like he's, you know, away on international break. He's had a lot of traveling. He's got a lot going on. Last year, he blamed it a lot on, you know, mental, his personal situation. He hasn't got those excuses now. He said that that's sorted and he's blessed and he's sweet and he's in a good situation. Why is he still struggling to deal with these players like Miguel Almiron? I mean, I know, yes, he's showed talent and he's got talent, but come on, man. Cucurella should be able to deal with players like Miguel Almiron. And I know he needs to be doubled up. Or, you know, sorry, I know he's being doubled up on and he needs support in those situations. But again, that is his responsibility to call for support. That is his responsibility to get someone over. He should not be sitting in centre-back where there are 3-4 players sitting around Anthony Gordon going, what are we doing? Why are there 4 of us marking one guy? And at the end of the day, they still could mark Anthony Gordon. What, he got 2 today? I mean, that second goal, it's just tough, man. Obviously, he's a little weasel of a player. Very, very good player. But come on, man. 4-1. Anthony Gordon at the double. I just think it's tough, bro. The title says 3-1. It says 4-1 on my thing. Bear with me, bro. Let me see if I can change it. No, it says 4-1, mate. It says 4-1. But yeah, team was lazy. Team was very lazy. Dastan joining us. Mid-table team, let's be realistic. No stability, no leaders, no stability. Top 10 will be a great result for this season. Yeah, but I spoke on it earlier very briefly. James's naivety. Obviously, very disappointing that he, there you go, look, shooter, Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1. Yeah, very disappointed with Reece James's naivety with that sending off. He's supposed to be a leader. We have very few leaders on that pitch. Obviously, we've got Raheem Sterling. If you're talking about seniority, experience, you've got Raheem Sterling, Thiago Silva, who led today. You can't really fault him, bar that mistake. Obviously, that could happen to anybody. It happened to Thiago Silva at the worst possible time after I dropped that short earlier this week. But Thiago Silva, you can't really fault him in terms of leadership. Reece James, however, is a player that, you know, we have been expected to step up. Wasn't really that poor today in terms of his performance. I mean, I didn't think he offered much. I think he was holding back in terms of going forward. And again, don't know if that was something that Poch told him. Don't know if that was maybe he didn't want to overrun himself in his fitness. Maybe he's still getting back into it. I don't really know, to be honest. But if he's starting and playing, he should be, you know, 100% match fit. Shouldn't really be holding back in fear of getting injured. Definitely shouldn't be starting if you're not sure about making runs. But I'm hoping that wasn't the case. I'm hoping it was more of a tactical decision. But obviously, yeah, just so naive to make both of those mistakes. The first one, the booking, descent, or kicking the ball away, whatever you want to call it, absolutely needless, ridiculous. Sterling, you know, we all groaned. We all got, you know, I went mental at Sterling in my living room for kicking the ball away. But Reece James, just as bad, but even worse as the captain. So needless. I think it was probably still 1-1 at that point at 55 minutes. So needless to do that. And then obviously the second one, just a rookie mistake, going too close behind someone as they're moving quickly. Obviously, like I said, it was similar to how Jota got sent off earlier in the season against Spurs, and a lot of people debated that and whether that was a red card or whether that was a second booking. I said then that it was, and I'll say now it was again. Obviously, this time slightly more, intent on it because Reece James did put his arm on him, and I think that's what just solidified it. I think he might, maybe might have got away with it if he hadn't have put his arm on him, but. I think he, regardless, still deserved to go. Very naive to make the challenge. I feel like Reece James loses his head a lot of the time, and he's not the coolest guy. And obviously, in a captain, you want someone that is going to be able to lead, to maintain their head, to keep a calm head in a hot situation. But Reece James does tend to lose that. We saw it, against Tottenham when he was throwing elbows close to the first half when they'd lost a player. It was a little bit naive of him then, a little bit naive today. And I think that's something of his game that he needs to pattern up. Obviously, 1 game suspension isn't going to be great. We've also got Cucurella picked up a booking today, so he's going to be out next week for suspended. Malo Gusto injured today. He's going to be out next week suspended. I know it's only Brighton, but, tough game, very tough game, tough team, regardless of where they are, what their form is. Brighton are a very, very good side. And I think the fact that we are going to be depleted again next week is not great. As soon as we can make 1 step forward, it's 2 steps back. It has been all season. And in terms of performances, last few weeks, 1 step forward. Today, 2 steps back. Injury-wise and availability-wise, having everybody fit and available, 1 step forward. Losing Cucurella and James today, 2 steps back. It's just, it's tough. But yeah, top 10 will be a great result for this season. If you'd said earlier this season, Chelsea be mid-table at this point, I'd say, no way, not happy at all. I'm happy with this, how this season, or before today, was happy with how this season is progressing. I do think we have scope to touch top 5, top 6, particularly with the form and the inconsistency of the teams around us. But at the same time, man, when performances like today, it's like we can only really do it on the biggest of stages. I mean, we struggle against the little teams. We struggle when we're not the underdogs. Obviously, Newcastle were the underdogs today with their injury list. And I don't understand how we can only do it when we have that underdog mentality. I love it when we do pull out those performances because, backs against the wall is everything. Everything is down to us to pull out performances. But we shouldn't be struggling as much as we did today in terms of the creativity, lacking chances. Our decision-making in the final third was, as it has been for a lot of the last, not just this season, the last 18 months, the last 2 years, 4 years, whatever you want to say, the quality of the balls into the box hasn't been great. The finishing on the end of it and the runs in the position on the end of it hasn't been great either. And it wasn't today. I said earlier in the stream, Jackson's runs, Jackson's intelligence. I've been singing Jackson's praises about how he's intelligent, even when he's not finishing, even when his finishing's been poor, he's been getting into the right positions. His intent has been correct. But today, drifting out wide far too much. I know a lot of people have said that he could be an option off the wide, has served that option, has served that purpose, has served that role at Villarreal and could serve that role for Chelsea. I don't want him out wide. We have Mudryk, Sterling, Palmer, Madueke. We have so many options out wide. We have Nkunku out wide if we need him. We don't need to use Jackson anywhere other than up front. We can fit Jackson as a number 9 and nowhere else realistically for me in this Chelsea team. He doesn't need to be drifting out wide. I mean, we could have thrown Broyo on earlier for me. Even if it was to double up as a 2 up front to give Jackson a little bit more support in terms of a structure, give him someone to work off, give him someone to play off, give him someone to bounce off and link up with that's, constantly 10, 15 yards away from him. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need to try that next week against Brighton. I wouldn't be against that, to be honest. If we were to try Jackson and Broyo together, I mean, a fully fit Jackson and Broyo, but Broyo, we haven't really seen him fully fit this season. We saw him against Fulham. He wasn't fully fit. He was told he was only going to be able to play 60 odd minutes. Every time we've seen Broyo this year, we've been told he's only going to be able to play 60 minutes tops. He's never been able to play 90 minutes. It's always been the plan to take him off or use him as a sub. We've only ever used him when we have no other options, when Jackson's been suspended or someone else has been injured. Broyo has been a bit part player, and we are finally going to be able to see soon Broyo 100% fit and available, hopefully, touch wood. Because I do not want Broyo to get injured in the next couple of weeks. I wouldn't mind Broyo and Jackson going 2 at the top, 2 up top together next week. Trying something a little bit different because Poch seems, we haven't nailed down a consistent starting 11. I do not understand why we have not nailed down a consistent starting 11. At least, try the same 11 back-to-back when we do get a result. Poch doesn't seem to want to do that, whether it's, because of 100% availability or injury or fitness issues, whatever it is. We haven't seen that from Chelsea. Whatever, move on. Surely, we need to see some semblance of consistency going forward. And, I mean, Broja's got to be in the mix with Jackson. Jackson is, I'm struggling. I'm running out of excuses and reasons for Jackson to hold down that number 9. At Tottenham, we could justify it only because he scored a hat-trick. But as Poch said, he should have had 5-6. All the Chelsea fans, or a lot of the Chelsea fans, knew that Jackson didn't play great that game. He was very, very wasteful. Often is. Reminds me a lot of Darwin Núñez, because a lot of the time, he just stands offside. 50% of that game, 60% of that game against Tottenham, he stood offside. That high line really frustrated him. He can't play against the high line. He's not great against the low block. I'm really struggling. He kind of operates in no man's land. And Nicholas Jackson needs to kind of broaden his game and broaden his talents and his attributes if he wants to succeed. I think he does have all the tools to succeed as a top striker in the Premier League or in world football. But Nicholas Jackson does need to hone his craft. He does need to work on his ability in the final third, his decision making, and essentially just be a little bit smarter, work smarter, not harder. He does a lot of running, a lot of hard work, but a lot of it is in the wrong places, the wrong positions, is wasted. And a lot of the time when he's chasing 3 or 4 centre-backs, and he's not backed up by players like Raheem Sterling or Cole Palmer, because they know they're just going to get the ball passed around them in triangles. They're not backing up in that situation. If you haven't got 3-4 players backing you up, like Cole Palmer, Conor Gallagher, Raheem Sterling, and if you do, fantastic. And I wouldn't mind that if Jackson was getting behind them and saying, look, let's go, let's all press together, let's press as a unit, press as a group. Fantastic. But he's doing it on his own. He's wasting his energy. And then we're absolutely, he's absolutely knackered, or he's out of position, or he's offside when the ball comes over to him. And it's stressful. But, one attempt in the entire team in that second half doesn't speak, speaks volumes about our lack of creativity, our lack of ability in that final third at the moment. And Enzo Fernandez, I thought he was fantastic in the first half. Disappeared a little bit in the second half, but first half distribution was brilliant. His little balls in and around players, turning around the corners. He's like Cole Palmer, his ability to unlock defenses with those little 1-2s. He sees passes that nobody else does. He can thread that gap. He can thread through the eye of a needle when nobody else can. And his ability on the ball is second to none when you're talking about this Chelsea side. I've said in shorts, and I've said before, I haven't seen distribution like it since Cesc Fabregas, and his ability is absolutely sublime. He hasn't been 100% this year. Yes, I'll agree. He hasn't. We've seen better Enzo Fernandez performances last season than we have this season, but he's still performing to a ridiculously high, consistent level. Consistently high, more than other players in this Chelsea side. I don't understand how he gets so many critics and why he gets so many critics. He's 22 years old and he commands and controls that midfield. And today, I think we missed Caicedo. Obviously, a lot of people, I think, said that we should drop someone out and play Ugo Chukwu. I think that was a mistake. I think that showed from Ugo Chukwu's performance. I think we would have benefited from Caicedo, his control in the game. But yeah, man, defense was sleeping all game. And I think Caicedo gives you a shout out. Abdi, appreciate you joining us, bro. But yeah, I don't understand why Caicedo was dropped. It was probably fitness levels, obviously having just come back from the internationals in South America. I know they get back late, but for me, if Enzo Caicedo is fit, Enzo Fernandez fit, Caicedo is his. If Enzo Fernandez is fit, Caicedo is fit. Can't get my fucking words out. But yeah, man, I don't understand. Yeah, I obviously listened to the post-match conference, see why he wasn't in the team. But Caicedo, I think, was missed today. Just that stability, the control of the game. A lot of what he does is very understated, his possession-wise. Keeping the ball, distribution, I think, very, very good. And I think today, yeah, we missed him. We lacked that. And it was disappointing that we haven't been able to, overwhelming midfield has been our game in recent weeks. Enzo, Caicedo, Gallagher has been that holy trinity of midfield. I say this so many times, and 5 minutes ago, why do we keep switching shit up? Why do we keep switching? As soon as we find a consistent pattern of something that works, as soon as we find a midfield trio that works, that can overwhelm the defenses of Tottenham, the defenses of Arsenal, the defenses, the midfield of Man City, why are we switching it up? Caicedo was fit and available because he was on the bench and he came on, so he could have started. Don't tell me he couldn't have started. He's fit enough and young enough and able-bodied enough to have started today. So why Why are we continually mixing it up? Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And you can't point too many fingers at Poch right now because, well, yeah, touchline ban today. The performances have been good of late, and yeah, collectively it was just kind of a letdown performance from the team today. But I will always go back to why change it. The same problems. Chelsea will always go through the same problems. We always start poorly. We always struggle to finish, and always, have a lack of quality in our finishing and our balls into the box in the final third. And we always lack consistency in our starting lineups. Why change it? Caicedo, Gallagher, Enzo works. Why change it? And I think this is a conundrum that we're going to have when Nkunku comes back. I really struggle to see where Nkunku's going to fit into this side. If not as a number 9 instead of Nicholas Jackson, he doesn't get in instead of Sterling or Palmer, and you can't change the midfield 3 of Gallagher, Enzo, Caicedo. When we dropped Enzo against Brentford, we got fucked. When we dropped Caicedo today, we got fucked. I do not understand why. What these Chelsea elite managers and these men that get paid 6 figures a week and all this money, these ridiculous contracts and this ridiculous money, and this ridiculous experience these have. Why can they not see? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why is he changing that midfield trio of Gallagher, Enzo, Caicedo? I really, really don't understand. It frustrates me. I mean, I have been so critical of Gallagher. Today he wasn't as good as he has been in recent weeks. I just don't understand why you would change up that engine room. It's so crucial. And where that is the area that we have been winning games, when we have been overwhelming midfields. So many players I know, someone I know does Tottenham podcast saying Tottenham are the best midfield of the world, Bissouma, Maddison, injuries, sending off, rare tear, tear. Chelsea midfield overwhelmed that Tottenham midfield. Arsenal midfield, Odegaard, Declan Rice, whoever else played in the centre midfield. Fabio Vieira, I can't remember who it was. It wasn't that rapist, it was someone else. But Chelsea overwhelmed that midfield. When we had that midfield 3 of Gallagher, Enzo, Caicedo, I do not understand why Poch needed to change it today. All 3 of them are, young enough, able-bodied enough players to be able to deal with and cope with a little bit of jet lag, a little bit of match fitness. And we're playing 1 game a week. I know Caicedo only got back the other day, but yeah, like I said, Enzo got back at the same time. If Enzo's fit, Caicedo's fit. Caicedo was fit enough to come on from the bench. Caicedo's fit enough to start for me. Do not understand why we switched that up. Very, very frustrating. Dana, I appreciate you joining us. Yeah, man, we got touched up by Newcastle, bro. Absolutely touched today. Touched like fucking Bill Cosby. Jackson was sleeping in that game against Newcastle match. Yeah, he wasn't in the right. He didn't have his shooting boots on today. Really, really struggled to get into the game. Struggled to link up. That link up play that we've seen we saw him in pre-season and earlier this season. He's great bringing the ball down. He's great, knocking it to players around him. He's great with the ball at his feet. He's great running in behind. Great, linking up. But he just seems a little bit disillusioned. He's just, that edge of his game is just in every single aspect has just dropped a bit. And I do not really understand how or why, to be perfectly honest. His confidence should be absolutely flying. I mean, I know he doesn't really bang goals for Senegal. I know he doesn't really play and or bang goals for Senegal. He doesn't really get minutes. But he bangs goals he's been banging goals for Chelsea. His confidence should be sky high. Why is he struggling? Why are we seeing him go back to that dark place that he was in a few games ago, when he was missing absolute sitters, skying him from the 6-yard box? Hopefully he doesn't revert back to that. But obviously, I mean, I know we were hoping to see Nkunku back on the bench today. Hopefully Nkunku will be back. They said Old Trafford, they said Man United. They said under the lights at Man United, that said that he would definitely be back. We were just hoping, we were just gassing it up, saying he would be back before then. Hopefully Nkunku is back for the Man United game, because Lord knows we need a little bit of impetus, even if it is against them. But obviously we've got Brighton next week. We will be jumping on, like I said earlier in the stream, hopefully doing a more in-depth match reaction later tonight with my co-host, Mr. C Money Picks. So make sure to keep your notifications on and tune in for that later tonight. Hopefully we'll be able to find a Newcastle guest. If you're a Newcastle fan watching this and you want to jump on the stream and discuss the game today, if you want to rinse myself and Mr. C Money, particularly for his new trim, shoot me a DM, bro. At 2 Blues Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Make sure to follow it up. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you are not already. Thanks everybody for joining us.